Alrighty, party people. I watched Lord of the Rings yesterday for the first time in a very long time. And I think it's a great movie on a lot of levels, but it did make me think a lot about the kind of information that most of us take in on a daily basis and how it seems to me like on a level of nutrition, for example, a lot of people have become very conscious of what's the kind of diet that I put into myself. But on a level of information, we're not there yet. Like the amount of crap that is coming into your brain every single day probably has a much bigger impact on your state of well being, your thoughts, even the paradigms that you're thinking in than you're aware of. And I noticed this for the first time watching Lord of the Rings yesterday that, again, I think it's a really cool movie, but I don't agree with many of the worldviews that are being portrayed in this movie. Like, I don't think that we are in a fight between good and evil in this world, and that, that is our job. To name just one example of, or like the kind of hardship that people go through, that is like, yeah, this has to be part of life. The fact that some of the scars that these people experience, like Frodo, never goes away. There's a lot of heaviness and seriousness in the movie. And I could just notice in real time how it was affecting my body and, of course, like my emotional reactions. And I want to share with you an orientation that I have in my life that really helps me discern what kind of information I want to expose myself to and what I don't. And before I go into this, I also want to acknowledge I'm not a purist in this, in the sense that, like, some people might hear what I'm sharing here and turn it into the next dogma, and you're not allowed to listen to anything that is not like 100% aligned. And I think that can be like a mental like ego drive thing as well, of like, okay, here's this like super rigid thing that I'm following, and that's not what I'm talking about here. But I think becoming very picky of the kind of information that you're letting into your system on a frequent basis is super important. And so here's the orientation that I have in my own life that helps me discern super clearly what I'm letting in and what I don't. My, we could say, only job is to 100% embody my soul. I believe that's what we're all here for, is for our soul to fully incarnate in our body. And that doesn't mean that I'm just sitting around and doing nothing. Like, the incarnation also happens in the doing, in the following my impulses, in the following my greatest visions, because those are the messages from my soul. And what this orientation helps me see is I can look at something, and I can even look at relationships. I can look at hobbies. I can look at like anything, habits, doesn't matter. And I can ask myself, does this help me embody my soul more deeply, yes or no? And if it's a no, then I'm not going to feed it any energy. How do you know you're embodying your soul more deeply? Well, you're going to feel more alive. You're going to feel more creativity, inspiration, expansion, joy, connection, depth, presence. And this theme around information diet, of course, it doesn't stop with movies, songs, books. Like I think those are quite obvious things. Then we go like into how much time do you spend randomly on social media, just consuming whatever the algorithm is giving you. But it also 100% includes like what kind of conversations do you have on a consistent basis with people. I'll give you a real life example for me. The place we're living in right now, there's a WhatsApp group. It's like a small village here, and there's a WhatsApp group. There's maybe 200 people in there. And in this WhatsApp group, people are using that group in ways that feel so weird to me. Like other people bring up like a great initiative of how to improve the village, and then people just hate on it and bring all these arguments of why this is bad and this shouldn't be happening. And there's like a lot of like sidetracked conversations that feel so meaningless and irrelevant for me. And so I'm actually going to leave this group, and I might send them a message and just say like why I'm leaving this group. But what I noticed was like part of my mind really fixated on how much this annoyed me, how stupid these people are, of how they're using this group. And then I realized me focusing on what those other people are doing that I don't even know personally in a random WhatsApp group and getting all ramped up by it, does it serve me in the embodiment of my soul? Nope, it doesn't. And I think there are a lot of these like things we can hook into our daily lives. Like, as I said, in conversations that we might have with other people where, you know, gossiping falls really into this, analyzing other people, sharing stories from our past with other people. And in every moment, I can ask myself, does this help me embody my soul more deeply? Yes or no? And then we can take this even one step further and look at the thoughts that we have in our minds on a frequent basis. And we all have recurring mental patterns of what it is that we're mulling over, that we're thinking about. And you might say, well, but I don't have power over what kind of thoughts come up. Yeah, that might be true, but you do have power over how much energy you're giving a certain thought. And so if I notice myself in a mental pattern that does not serve the embodiment of my soul, that feels, for example, worrying is such a beautiful example of this. Worrying makes zero sense because it's never going to help me create the reality that I actually want to create. It's like the mind predicting an outcome that I do not want to have. And then like flashing out the scenarios and then worrying about it. And I remember one mentor of mine once said that reacting emotionally to our own thoughts is like drawing a monster on a piece of paper and then getting scared by it. Because the thoughts are not real. And again, it's important for me to say that we don't need to turn this into a game of, oh my God, I'm doing so many things wrong and there are so many pieces of information coming at me that are not serving my highest evolution. We don't have to fall into perfectionism with this. But if you can reduce the amount of information that you consume that very clearly does not serve the embodiment of your soul and your highest evolution, there's going to be massive impact to your life. And you're only going to see how much that pulled you down when it's actually gone. Because we're so used to being bombarded with stuff that is not serving us that we don't even see how bad it is and how much it actually influences our thinking in subtle ways that we're not even aware of. So a true leader chooses very carefully what he focuses his energy on, what kind of people he spends time with, how he uses social media, what kind of places we hang out in. All of those things for me are part of the information diet. Curious to hear your reflections. Curious what comes up when you listen to this, how it resonates or it doesn't. If you want to dive deeper into my work, a couple of opportunities. Tomorrow we have the AI website builder, where I show you how to create beautiful websites with AI that actually feel like you. So it doesn't feel generic, doesn't feel like every random coach's website, but actually like you. And then there are a couple of deeper mentoring spaces that are open: Embodied Business Leadership Program, year-long business mentoring program, the Overflow Leader, which is an 8-week group program that just started on how to operate from a deep place of overflow, how to give sustainably while at the same time receiving deeply. And then there's also a one-on-one space that I don't even have a name yet, but something that's emerging, where I want to dive real deep with people into soul embodiment in every single area of their lives. So if any of those resonate with you, just send me a message and we'll have a conversation. So with that, have the most beautiful day, and I'll see you soon.